Good morning, ladies. I hope that you are off to a great start today. I definitely am. And why? It's my birthday. It's my birthday. It's my birthday. It's my birthday. Yes, today I am 38 years old. June 6th is my birthday, and I'm planning to have a great day. No clue what I'm going to do, but anyway, it's going to be a great day because I've decided it's going to be awesome. All right, before we get into the details of today, and the announcements are going to be very, very short because we've got a long talk about a certain topic. Let's get to some weather. Today, we got a low of 14 and a high of 22. Scattered showers are on the menu, but as we've seen in the last week, it's not been too bad. We've had some amazing weather. How was that Saturday, by the way? Diego and I had a really great time going to the Seyfield side of the lake, and we got treated to some wonderful Spanish music. I don't know if you saw that on Instagram, but we had a beautiful lunch. I had tomato mozzarella. He had a kalbswurst, and we had some wonderful music. And the guy left after we were finished eating, and I thought, man, this restaurant needs to hire him because it was such an amazing romantic ambiance. It felt like actually only the two of us were there, and it was great. But that weather has been amazing. Nothing like what the forecast has been showing. So go ahead and check the weather whenever you're stepping out of the house and make sure that it is what I've said, because it's always changing and we've got more sun than anything these days. All right, so if you have noticed, I have been working on the website, editing and adding to the whole situation. I completely actually changed the website on Saturday night Friday night going into Saturday morning. Took everything down, erased the whole website, and made it a 2-page website to make everything super easy. Signing up for events, seeing everything that's going on. It's just a 1-page scroll website. That's Expat Ladies Zurich.ch. Give it a look. We've got the upcoming events on there, the sign up pages on there, and we've got some articles. Anna Garcia Simon, she wrote us an article to follow up on her session from April, her life coaching session, which was very, very fun. I'm going to be adding the audio also to that first meeting, so I want you to look out for that, because it was a really great session, and she gave us a couple tools that I found super helpful. There was an exercise where we used a paper to try to block out her, and as we were blocking her out, she was kind of our problems, right? And we figured out how exhausting trying to block out your problems are, and we put the paper down, and it's like, wow, it's amazing to kind of illustrate that point. Anyway, you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm going to post that audio. I'm going to see if I can post that video and get her telling our wider audience what acting on creating a wonderful life looks like. So we've got an article that she wrote, which is up on the website right now, which is a follow-up to that session. And then on the 14th of June at Kitchen Republic, she's going to be having an in-person event to be the part 3 of that whole series. So if you've been looking at some life coaching opportunities and thinking about how you can optimize your life to make it all of the things that you want it to be, I encourage you to sign up and get to that session. It's on a Tuesday, starting at 7 o'clock. All right, we have a couple other events coming up as well, but I'm going to save those until after the conversation that we have coming up with my own Diego. Yes, we decided to have a conversation because I was thinking about all of the podcast themes that I want to talk about in the upcoming weeks, and I thought about one in particular because we had just been having the most amazing time together. And you know, it's not an automatic thing that you have a great relationship. Any relationship requires work and commitment and dedication and self-observation. And I thought about all of that and how difficult us ladies have it sometimes when we haven't gone through therapy or we haven't talked about these issues amongst each other. And I thought, you know what? I would love to talk with a man chime in, Diego, about what men really want. And when we talk about what men really want, specifically talking about what they want and the tools that we need to facilitate a positive relationship. So here's a little listen into that conversation. What I want to do, which I started to do with the podcast, is give a framework to work with first. Like start with some rules and then let's break it down from there. So I'm going to let you think about a few rules that you would give to the ladies here about understanding your man better and having the tools to communicate and not have so many preconceived notions that he should just know.
Yes.
Okay, so what are your 3 rules for the tools that we need to use to communicate better with men?
The first rule is men don't talk much.
Yeah. Okay.
The second would be we have feelings too.
Right. Okay.
And the third one is creating a safe space makes all the difference for us.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I think that also goes for women. But okay, let's start the conversation with men don't talk much. So the 3 rules were, number 1, men don't talk much. We all know that. Men have feelings too. And then 3, creating a safe space makes all the difference. All right. Men don't talk much. Definitely, I know about that. But from a woman's perspective, when we're talking to a man, and there are actually many like memes and Instagram posts showing how little men talk. What is up with that?
The thing is, I think that women use much more words in general per day. Mm-hmm. I think there's some scientific
statistics.
I don't really know much about that. But I know for sure that we overwhelm for too much talking.
Okay.
Actually, yeah. So it's not that because I mean I have been heard. I have been told that sometimes you don't pay attention to this, and when I'm telling you, I do it 30 times. Yes, it can seems like you are telling me 30 times, but it's like if you are talking too much when you're telling me that, it's like at some point I got lost. You know, like I got overwhelmed for what you say. And that obviously can affect the how effective you're with me. So you want to tell me something, just come, tell me that, but we don't need to talk 2 hours about the topic because in the second hour I don't really know where.
But why are you looking at me saying that?
Because we're just us.
We're just talking. I understand too much talking is too much, but if I say, can you please take out the trash? And then an hour later, I say, can you please take out the trash?
Yeah, you don't have to tell me 30 times. I mean, next week I'm going to take it.
Next week? What the heck? Okay. No, but I mean, like I would argue from a woman's perspective, there are really, really simple things that I have said. And it's not that we're talking 2 hours every time about everything. There are simple things also that we talk about. And it's like, I feel like you're ignoring me. So what about those times? Because I think those are more frequent than the 2-hour talks.
In my case in particular, I don't like being told what to do.
Oh, so the truth comes out. Okay, you don't like being told what to do. Okay, okay.
Yeah, I don't like. I mean, you can ask me, but if you're telling me you have to take the trash and you have to take it now, it's like you're actually.
Oh, babe, I don't say that.
No, you don't say that, but you are actually telling me that right now.
Okay.
It's like it's actually you're telling me I don't have to tell you 3 times to do that. So what you want actually is that I take the trash and I take it in the next 20 minutes.
Okay.
10 minutes, whatever.
What about when the trash last week was like super full?
Okay, last week. We're going in all.
No, actually it was this week. And then I asked you to take it out because we were going out. And then I took it out and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, but the one before I just did it immediately.
That's true. You did do it immediately. Okay, fine. But I feel like...
So ladies, now you're presencing the first fight in between us.
No, we're not fighting. Like I said, I feel like more often than not, it's simple things that we ladies will say like 10 times. And after a while, then we can't be friendly about it anymore. So what about that? So for example, there's that commercial on, I think it's on YouTube or something like that, and there's the wife and she's telling the father and the two kids, like she's showing them around, and she's like showing them, you put this there, and they're taking notes, and they're like,
Yeah.
ah, yeah, like,
Yeah.
oh, that's what that's for. You know what I'm talking about, ladies? I'm going to put this commercial in the morning updates or the announcements so you can see which one I'm talking about. But anyway, like that. It's like we constantly say the same things over again, and women feel like I might as well be on Charlie Brown, want. I'm talking to myself.
Yeah, the thing is, you have to also understand that is because it's important for you, that doesn't have to be important for me, right?
That's a good point.
So, I mean, if you're gonna remember that because it's important for you, right? I mean, when there is something that's important for me, I'm gonna remember. I can tell you, but if it's not important for you and it's important for me, it's more likely than not that you just forget that.
Okay. So
Right.
It's not important to take out the trash?
Yeah, it is important, but it's not urgent. So we have different.
Senses of urgency and yeah, okay, I get it. That's okay. That's a good point. So just say, for example, I'm telling you something that's important to me, and then I acknowledge that it might not be important to you. How do I get across the message that, hey, this is an urgent matter? Take out the damn trash.
You can for example tell you don't take the trash, you don't have sex tonight.
Oh, use
Nah,
weapon.
I'm joking, just joking.
Sex as a weapon. Got it.
Don't do that.
I'm taking.
Don't do that.
I'm taking notes right now. Okay, sex as a weapon. Check. Okay, got that.
I don't really know how you could do that. I mean, you can. It's basically finding a way that for him is important. I mean, how you do that.
I think it's a good point, because maybe that's something to sit down and talk about between the two of you, whoever it is, because it's going to be different for me and you compared to someone else. What makes something important to them? So maybe the idea there is sit down and figure out.
Because you know what? Maybe a way is to find the same parallel in the other way around, right? Because I don't know, for a guy, I don't know, have the car clean is important. For example, if you like your car, if the man likes the car, it can be the same thing. So he wants to have everything clean, and if a woman came or the wife came and put some trash in the car, he wants it clean. So he's gonna kind of get crazy for that or get mad about that.
But that's a man's job to clean the car.
Okay.
The thing is, true story, I've almost never cleaned my own car.
Okay. I mean, it's...
My dad used to clean my car. My ex-husband used to clean my car. You clean my car. Or I have it cleaned. But no, okay, that's a good point. So find something in parallel that's important and figure out a way to communicate, I guess.
Yeah, I think that is a way to turn around that.
Okay, let's take it from a different angle too. What about communicating about important issues? So, for example, when we had a long time ago a money conversation, because you come from Argentina, I come from, I've been living in Switzerland, and obviously our comfort levels with money were a big topic for us. A lot of couples have or need to have money conversations, for example, and you were really reluctant to have a conversation about it. I could tell there are certain things that made you uncomfortable. I could tell it's something that we needed to talk about, but you didn't want to talk about it. And finally, we came to a point where we needed to have the conversation, but it took a while to get you there. So when there's something that's really important to us and we want to have a conversation, how do we communicate? This is really important to me. I really want to talk about it. We need to talk about it. I read this article preparing for this conversation about taboo topics for men, and it says topics about family, topics about the relationship, like when she says, hey, we need to talk about relationship.
Yeah. The phrase "we need to talk" is really, I think, is really
daunting.
An effective way to start a conversation.
Okay.
I mean, if at least for me, you come and you tell me we need to talk. I mean, that is something bad, right?
Yeah.
So you are, you are
Setting.
predisposed.
Predisposed, yeah.
yeah, to have a bad talk. There's the next moment is gonna be a bad moment. That's the first thing that you think. So your guard is up.
Oh, okay. So in that case, I think that we'll come back to that maybe in point 3. In that case, creating a safe space. I think that the we have feelings point, the second one, we have feelings, is probably a good one to address.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that it's a great point because in movies, in society, in advertisement or whatever, it's always put out there that men are like rocks,
Exactly.
that basically nothing phases them. The strong man is seen as the one that doesn't let anything bother them, intimidate them, hurt them, whatever, and they're just like these robotic figures
Yeah,
out
and
there.
you're supposed to support all that. You are supposed to get it inside in you. Like if you don't have to feel anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that well, at least in my case, I have heard many times, like don't cry, like I mean, if they are telling you that you're kind of internalizing everything, right? So and there is one more thing is that I think is really really relevant for that is you are not taught to really differentiate your feelings as a man, right?
What do you mean by differentiate your feelings?
I think that first of all, I think that women has more easy way to find what is going on with on what they are feeling itself.
Okay.
I think that men need more work there. I mean, I think that at least in my way therapy was a big help to find what actually I'm putting in words, which is the main difference for that. So finding what is happening with you is helping, at least help me a lot about actually knowing what's going on with myself.
I have to say that, I mean, when we met, you were already in therapy, and I don't know how long you had already been in therapy. How long had you been in therapy when we met?
I don't know, maybe, I don't know, 4 years.
4 years.
Or maybe 5, I don't know.
So the thing is, one of the things that I admired about you when we met was that you were very intentional about your words, and you were very thoughtful about how we communicate. So, for example, we would have a disagreement, and you would be like, we're not going to talk about this while we're so angry, or you would say like, we deserve better than this, than like raising our voices or saying anything that we're going to regret later. And I really appreciated that you actually took the time to be so thoughtful about how we communicate.
Thank
And
you.
you're welcome. And I think that a lot of men don't have that. So I think that we already started our communication and our relationship on a different level than usual. And I think that you're right. One of the things I've seen in men before you, or just in general in relationships that I have, is that a lot of men, they don't know where their feelings are coming from. They don't know how to identify them. They don't even want to know, it seems, because they're so encouraged and pressured to suppress.
The thing is, yeah. I mean, you get overwhelmed by all that.
Of course.
I mean, the thing is, if you don't know what it is, everything is, I am angry, right?
Yeah, that's
true. So if you are frustrated, if you are, I don't know, whatever other feeling, you express like, I'm angry, because you are not allowed to feel other thing that you're angry when you're a man, right? And I think that to actually differentiate that, it's a big step itself, to actually know what's going on there.
Have you ever had a relationship where this point number 2, men have feelings, created a lot of conflict for you? So I'm asking, have you ever been with a woman that completely disregarded your feelings as if you don't have any? And if so, what kind of effect did that have on you in the relationship?
I mean, I don't know if for sure I have been in relationships that, because I am not talking, they feel like I'm not feeling, right? And it's exactly in the other way around. I can actually, I had a, and I told you that, but I had discussions of 5 hours discussions.
Arguments.
for 5 hours, like until 5 in the morning, and I had to go to work in like an hour and a half, you know, and as a man, I mean, I don't know, as a human being, probably, I mean, you don't want to keep having that discussion, this argument, you know, so it, in my case at least, was shut down. Like I don't even want to keep having the argument.
Right.
So, and I think that that's something that happened very often in men's, because very often we don't have the tools for express what's going on, and you are asking me to explain you what is going on, and I don't even know. You know, it's not like I don't want to explain you. Sometimes it's you don't really know what's going on. I mean, you first have to figure out what was happening in yourself before being able to actually say it. Right?
I mean, it's like asking someone to give something that they don't have.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I don't think I thought about it like that. And so when you're going through all of this and having all these arguments and you're suppressing and shutting down, how would that manifest itself in your life? So, I mean, did you ever break down and cry when you were by yourself?
Yeah, many times. Many times. And even worse things. I mean, having panic attacks, or not panic, but for sure having really strong anxiety attacks.
Anxiety.
Oof, God, that was the reason because I started therapy actually, and I find out that was the way to get out of that. You know, to start to express myself, to actually find an environment where you can express without being judged. You know, that's really
and
important.
attacked, right?
Yeah, attacked. That's what is going to the third point that maybe we can go right now.
I think before we go there, we were talking earlier and we were talking about like the importance of men having their own time and their own space and the ability to do something without it being family or relationship related, right?
Yeah.
And some women feel like, why do you need time alone? You know, and why do you need so much time alone? Do you think that, for example, when a man kind of takes a lot of time away from the home, it's because he's feeling so overwhelmed at home? And I'm not saying that a man shouldn't spend time alone, but I'm saying when a man is excessively taking time alone, is that like a signal of that?
I mean, excessively, I would say yes. If you said excessively, yeah, for sure. I mean, you need something, you need kind of you need your mind to be in another way thing.
I mean, for example, when I was younger, my dad, he was in one of these toxic relationships with my mom, and my dad would go fishing all the time. He would take me and my brother with him, but he would definitely make sure he was fishing. He would go bowling. He would be away from the house a lot of time, and my mom would complain about it all the time. And when I reflect on that and what you're saying, I think that it was like a survival tool.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I mean, in my case, in my particular case, I was not having time by myself at all, because I was having my son, I remember, and I was coming back to the house because I was kind of feeling bad to
Be away.
to be away. I mean, I was feeling guilty about that, because also at the moment the couple that I was with, she wasn't in any circle of friends or whatever, so she didn't have many friends. So I was feeling like I am the one I have to be with her, right? Because she was all day alone.
Your partner, yeah. Your wife.
Yeah. So I remember just going back from the work to my house and trying to take as much time as possible in the way, for example, and arriving to the house and staying in the car 10 more minutes, right? That's not right. I mean, that's not okay. I remember one time I was like, I mean, what I'm doing, why I'm so much here, you know? and that's not cool. I mean, that's not good for anyone.
Actually, my dad, he works for the post office, the USPS, and he would go to work at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and then get off maybe like at 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. And my dad would actually be in the car listening to the radio regularly on a daily basis. In the car listening to the radio, he would fall asleep in the car, and he says like, "Oh, I'm just so tired." But I think it's the same exact thing. I have experience with my dad doing that.
Right.
He would just stay in the car, and then my mom would like call him and be like, "Why are you out there?" And it's just like you
Yeah,
have
because
to,
you might need to be in a place that
because you're
where some.
terrorizing him. That's
Of
why.
course, of course. I mean, if you let's say you go to your house, and every time that you enter your house, the only thing that you hear until you go bed is like the talk that you are having is either, I mean, it can be complaining or not, but also bad things, in general. Either you did something wrong, or either I don't know, whatever thing that is going on, and it's just bad, bad, bad. I mean, at some point you want like escape that place, right?
Of course, yeah.
There are other place in I mean, I'm talking in the mind, right? To be, you want to be in another place mentally, right?
Okay, I'm gonna talk about something, and here's like a trigger alert. In terms of domestic abuse, I don't think that anyone deserves or earns being domestically abused, but from some of the relationships I've witnessed in my family, it seems like, for example, this experience of coming home, being attacked, being violated, and treated like a robot is something that can lead to the horrible occurrence of domestic violence. And I wonder, in these situations where men feel like they have to be there for their spouse and they can't leave the situation. I mean, it's always a choice to leave, but there's some situations where a man feels like he has no way out. I'm wondering, how do you ask that question? I've witnessed certain situations where a man feels cornered, he feels pressured, he feels like he has no other way. And I've read articles where a man says, yeah, I like slapped her, or I pushed her, or I hit her, and then it stopped. These verbal attacks, these abuses, and right now I'm thinking about the whole Johnny Depp case, right?
Right.
Where she said that she was abused, and he was this violent person, but then from audio recordings and everything that was presented, it's like, no, you were the aggressor and you never took responsibility, even in the case, for it. And I feel like there's a lot of men out there who are too ashamed to admit that they're being abused.
Oh yeah.
And there are too many men out there who take excessive amounts of bullying and pressure and all these kinds of things. And then some feel like the only alternative to that, or the only escape from that, is physically putting a stop to it. Was that ever, I'm not saying that you did, because I don't think you did, but was that ever something that crossed your mind? I mean, like
I mean,
in a reactive way.
I mean, all the time. I mean, I think that when you get really, really angry, that's something that cross your mind all the time. There's always a choice to act after that. But as you say, I mean, you don't only are abused physically, right? I think that the mental abuse is much more
Subtle.
subtle, and it's something that it really affects you long term.
Yeah.
Because you don't realize that you're going deeper and deeper in that.
Yeah.
And the thing is, at some point you start to really think that things are like you are either being told or being treated, right? And when you see behind you, you find, like how did
I get here?
how I get here. I mean, how, right?
Right.
And for me was that it took me a lot to really first realize, because that's the first thing, and after that, go against your own thinking. You know. Yeah, I think it's something that anyone with words, I mean, can do.
So when you're saying you look behind you and you think, how the heck did I get here? How did you get there? Was that kind of environment one that you grew up in? Was it something that you experienced between your parents? Like how do you think that you got there?
I think that I was lying to myself too much. I was in very little things, you know.
Little things that then become bigger.
Yeah, that pile up. It's like when I'm gonna compare with something that is more positive, but when you say when you create something that is really good for you, you have to do it a certain quantity of times, right? For in the other way around, it works the same. I think you can accumulate so much that you don't even realize where you are. You know.
So you're saying, for example, if you want to have a good result, you need to take certain steps many, many times to.
Yes, exactly. And you go deeper and deeper in that way, right? So if you are in a relationship and you suddenly started to accept to your wife, to your husband to start to scream at you, you know, and after that, it's okay, he's angry or she's angry. So okay, it can happen maybe once because someone, you know, it was having a bad moment, wherever, it can happen. But when you repeat it and the next time it happened the same and happened the same and happened the same, that's the norm now. So after that, we can escalate one more step, right? After that, we go and they not only scream, they are also telling you grab things to you. Right. And after that becomes the norm again, right? And after that, you go one more level, and that's how you escalate the things.
Yeah. So these things don't happen in one go.
No,
it doesn't happen in one day.
It doesn't happen. But that's the most dangerous thing at all. It's like going to the sea and you go little by little inside the sea, and when you realize you have the water until your neck, you know, like you didn't even know how you become at that point, but little by little you went there.
Yeah.
You know, and the worst thing is that you don't even realize that it's really, really toxic for you. You know, and for me at least was like that. I mean, I started therapy because I was feeling so bad about that.
So overwhelmed and so drowning in the toxicity.
Yeah.
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 I think that's a whole conversation. We've gotten way further down that point.
I know, sorry.
No, I mean, I think it's good. I think it's good because we rarely ever talk to men about these topics, and we rarely ever hear in detail about how you arrived to these points. And that's why I didn't stop you, and that's why I kept asking questions.
I want to say something else. I mean, I'm saying all that, but it's not. I also have to say that all that happened because I allowed that to happen.
You allowed it, yeah.
I mean, if you don't allow that to happen, I mean, if at some point you say that's not for me,
yes,
that's it.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, we have to also, you know,
take responsibility.
Yeah. I have to take responsibility for that too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that someone just randomly came and do something, and that's the reality. I allowed that to happen.
Yes. I think that, for example, for me in my situation, that's something that was really empowering to say, okay, someone didn't just put all this on you. Little by little, you accepted every single little thing.
Yeah.
And people can only do what you allow them to do.
Yeah.
And if you say, no, I choose me, then that's the end of it, like you said.
Yeah.
And there's no more.
And if you say no, I'm not saying that, it's because you didn't acknowledge yet, because you are not realizing, because for a long time I was thinking that I didn't choose that.
Wait. So let's say it again. I didn't understand how.
For a long time, I wasn't acknowledging that.
Your responsibility.
Yeah, my responsibility on that.
Yeah, you were blaming her.
Yeah. For me, it was her all the time. You know, she's doing that to me, right?
Do you think that's why sometimes when we talk to men, that's why they ignore they ignore what we're saying because you feel like you're just being bossed around. You feel like you're just being treated like an object, and you're like there's no consideration for you actually, and you just ignore it kind of like out of frustration of the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that many times men act out of because my wife told so.
Because my wife told me to do that.
Yeah. And that's,
for example?
I don't know. I mean, taking the trash. No.
Okay. I got it. So, I mean, we're going to get on to point 3 of creating a safe environment. But when you say like men often just react out of, because my wife told me so, it just brings me to another video or actually lots of comedies and lots of videos where men are saying like, I'm just there to make the money and, provide a safe environment, and they feel
how you can even feel a human being like that.
Yeah.
Right? How you can even feel like that. Yeah. I mean, in my case, for example, okay, my son don't talk so much, so it's really difficult right now to have a communication with him, right? Sometimes when he wants something, he contact me, right? And he say me, Dad, can you buy me XY thing?
Yeah.
And you really feel like a thing,
like an ATM, like a cash machine.
What I am, like a you're really
coming
to me.
So you're saying that your son, for example, when you're here for these extended times, your son doesn't really contact you, but when he wants something, then he contacts you, and that's the only time he contacts you.
Yes, I mean, I'm not gonna say
but for illustrating the point, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. If he wants something, he needs something, he's gonna contact me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's something that, of course, make you feel like I really don't have feelings. So I got some time to make him acknowledging that, I have feelings. When you are telling me X, Y, and Z, I feel like that,
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he's a kid. He's going to keep doing that. And he's a man also.
He's a boy.
He's a boy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to take more time.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you have to kind of express that.
Right. I think so. Solutions and tools for that is realize that men actually have feelings. How do you acknowledge a man in a way that would make you, for example, feel like I see you, I hear you, I know that you have feelings? Like what can I do as a woman to make you feel seen, heard, appreciated?
Saying thank you for X, Y, and Z. Even though the man can say, okay, it was nothing, don't worry, whatever, he knows that you tell that. He knows that you are really appreciate that. Next time, I mean, it's a positive reinforce.
What are some things that I do? Hopefully you have a laundry list, but
can we pause this?
Spotlight, you're on the spot. What are some things that I do to make you feel appreciated? Is there anything that you could share?
Hearing you.
Yeah.
Hearing you, talking with you. For me, that's. I mean, as I told you in the first step, I mean, for me, talking is not a given. Mm-hmm. I actually make an effort for that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So if we are talking and I'm being present, it's a big thing. It's not for you. It can be something that you make so easy. Mm-hmm. For me, it's something that it takes some effort to do. So when you come to me and say, I really appreciate that you hear me and you give me your ideas and we could go through all that, it's a really important thing.
So acknowledging with words and saying, yes, I hear you, I see you, and thank you for this thing, then that is a way. For example, when I cook for you, is that something that makes you feel...
Oh, yeah. You cook so well.
Thank you, babe. Yeah, I mean, so I think, let me just speak from myself. Bring up that Google page that I brought, because I actually brought up that stat to tell us how much more women talk. By the way, just to go back to how much more women talk, it says that women use an average of 20,000 words a day compared to men who use just 7,000 words a day. So that's almost 3 times more.
And probably the man is using them at work. So when you go back to your house, like you
it's
speak,
like 2,000.
Yeah. No, what 2,000? Maybe you have 500, and you want to pull out the next 10,000 that you didn't use yet.
Okay, so anyway, some of the ways that I try to make you feel seen and appreciated and valued are, I mean, I love to cook. I know that you love to eat, and so I don't make these simple, quick meals. I really love to experiment and make something nice for you and set the table nicely for you. I like to use that.
Yeah, that's one thing. The other thing is not making a big deal when I want to have a time for myself. I mean, you actually.
I think I actually encourage you to have time by yourself.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, it's something. It's not a given thing. It's not a given thing. If I tell you, oh, I don't feel like talking. I don't feel like talking. Don't make it a big deal about that. I mean, you don't do that. So for me, it's like it's awesome because you are actually knowing that I have feelings and that right now I'm not feeling like talking.
Yeah.
That's a great thing.
Yeah. Also, one thing that I do, which I've learned over time for sure from my past relationships and from me going to therapy and me reading, is that I don't assume that you should know something. I think I'm very open and straightforward about what I want and how you can deliver that to me in a way that I appreciate.
Right. I mean, we know very well that we have very different ways of thinking, right?
Yeah.
So we have very extremely different ways to analyzing things in how much we analyze and in the way that we analyze it.
Right.
So there is no way possible that we are knowing exactly what the other wants.
Right. I mean, like one small thing that is kind of big for me was like when you used to set the table and you would just put the silverware down and it was like all crazy on the placemat and like everything was kind of everywhere. That really irritated me because for me, I love food, I love eating, and setting the places nicely is a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy, ladies, but
but that's the thing. When you explain me that,
yeah,
I said, okay, yeah, I agree on that.
So for me, it's like put the forks properly in their place, put the knife properly on the place, make sure I have a napkin, make sure that the glass is up above the silverware on the right side, and make sure that the plate is here, make sure everything is clean, because it's one of my, like, food is one of my love languages. And so for me, there's nothing I love more than sitting down to a nice table and having it put nicely. And I didn't even realize it was something that irritated me until I stopped to think, why am I so irritated? And then I thought, yeah, I mean, when somebody just throws things on the table, it's like, am I a cow coming to like have my daily feeding? Like, what is this? And I know that's not normal for everyone. That's not a thing for everyone. I know.
But when you explain me that, it resonates with me too.
Yeah.
I understand why you were doing. I mean, it's not making it really important for me because when I'm in Argentina in my apartment, I don't do that. You know, sometimes I do, but in general I don't do that. You know, but I understand what is your way of thinking.
Because not only did I tell you, like, I didn't just tell, like, can you put this straight? I said, like,
yeah, exactly.
I ask you to do it in a certain way, and then I explain to you why. And I think that's a really important point to make, too. It's like, don't just tell what you want, but also help the person understand why it's something important to you.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, otherwise, if I didn't explain it, maybe it would sound crazy.
Yeah, it's actually
or like
crazy.
Controlling.
Yeah. Okay, that's a big one. That's a big one, actually.
Okay.
I mean, that's a big one for me. I mean, if you don't explain me, you don't do anything. I mean, what I am, I mean,
like a puppet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to do everything you say because you say it. That's it.
Yes.
Right. Okay, that's where we're having the problem about the trash thing.
Take the trash out. No, I'm just kidding. But yes, like I think that's a big point for me, and actually not just in our romantic relationship, also for my parents, and also for my friends, and also for my children. People cannot read your mind. They do not know what you're thinking and why you're thinking it, and they don't know all of your history. You're the only person that really understands you thoroughly, and probably not thoroughly because we're always learning about ourselves. Yeah. But if you want something, you have to be able to communicate it. You have to be able to understand why that is, and you have to be able to speak in someone else's language because if you don't communicate in a way that someone actually understands and can really take in what you're saying, if you can't communicate on someone else's level, then it's all for nothing. I mean, like you could tell a kid, for example, I remember one day the kids were clearing the table and they were having toast, and I was like, oh my gosh, here we go. They're about to get these crumbs all over the place, right? And I was like, don't get the crumbs all over the place. And I was so upset because they were all over the floor. And then I thought, wait a minute, have I given my kids the tools to actually do what I want them to do? And I realized, sometimes I give them instruction without equipping them with the tools to actually do what I asked them to do. So then I said, okay, look, this is what you do to keep the crumbs on the placemat. You pick it up like this, you carry it like this, and then you put it in the trash. And after I taught them how to do it, no problems at all, ever. Because they actually want to please you, just like your spouse. They want to please you. They want to have a good relationship just like you do. But you have to be able to communicate in a way that can be received. And once I started thinking about that, thinking about people not wanting to have a confrontational relationship, everybody just wants to have a good day. Everybody just wants to have a good time. And how can we meet in the middle to do that?
Oh yeah,
that's a really important point.
Yeah. So that's why you never will be or should be taking an important topic and in a bad mood or in a overreacting way.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to really fix the problem or just have a really productive, that's the way that you have to approach it, is like an open mind and really having a talk.
Yeah, really. I mean, like, you have to be solutions oriented, and that's another thing. Like, I really do not like to have arguments for the sake of arguing. It's such a waste of time.
Yeah.
Whenever we're having an argument or a discussion or whatever, it's like we're trying to move forward. We're trying to level up on our relationship and move forward and make this negative into a positive the next time. So being solutions oriented is super important, because it's a waste of time to just be arguing for the sake of arguing. Like, who has time for that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that gets us into creating the safe space, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Because number 3 is creative safe space. It makes all the difference. And I think that, like you were saying earlier, like, you don't want to go into a discussion with already anticipating something negative.
Right. I mean, you don't want that. You you want to know that if you're telling something that is important for you, at least as a man, as I told you, first, we don't talk much, but when we talk and we are saying something important, you want to know that you're in a safe environment. So I can tell you what is actually going on, and you're not going to come to me judging me. And you're not going to use what I'm telling you in the future against myself, right? So because I definitely had experienced that. And when that happened, you end up not having any positive discussion ever again. I mean, why I'm going to show you what is my weak point?
Yeah,
why?
Because it's just, you're going to weaponize it.
Yeah, you're going to use it, you're coming to me, telling me, offering me sweets.
Yeah.
And after that, you're going to use it against myself.
Yeah.
You can do that so much.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was watching Saturday Night Live not too long ago, actually. And it was talking about how women will save things for so long and then all of a sudden hit you with it like 7 years later. And it's like, wait, what are you talking about? It's like, that was so, like, what is that about, And I think I think that's a woman thing more than a man thing. But yeah, a lot of times, I definitely don't do this anymore and haven't done it for a long time. But would you agree I don't do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, I had the exactly opposite experience, and I know very well how that looks.
I think so. So the thing is, it's just like we were talking about vulnerability in our sex talk, sex and intimacy talk, and it's like, if you want someone to be vulnerable with you and really show themselves to you, you can't then weaponize it later and expect that to continue. If you're going to expose yourself and your heart and who you really are, you gotta be guaranteed that safe space. Otherwise,
Right.
you have no incentive to actually do that. And the thing is, if you can't do that, then you don't even know who you're with. I mean, like, you're not having a real, authentic relationship if you're not creating that safe space.
Absolutely. I mean, this is about trust. I mean, that's all what it is. I mean, at a completely different level. I mean, if you're with your partner, I mean, that has to be a deep trust.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm gonna show you everything about myself. I mean, you're gonna know everything about myself. You definitely know things that no one else know.
Okay.
So, but that's the truth. I mean, if you use that against me, you're actually destroying the relationship.
Yeah. That's true.
I mean, you're hurting yourself
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
actually. And in the future, you know that it's gonna take you some time to rebuild all that.
Okay. Are there degrees to that? A friend that we both know, a guy, he was talking to us, remember, about how he went out to a club and he got drugged on Longstrasse and had a really bad experience. And basically, he kept from his wife the thing that happened because he didn't want her to think.
Bad about that, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, he didn't do anything wrong. But I mean, like, is that like is that an acceptable thing? Are there levels to vulnerability, or is a lie a lie? I mean, because we're not talking about lies right now. We're talking about creating a safe space and not using things against someone. But I mean, if we're talking about trust, how far are we going with trust? Some people think, like, you can pick and choose where you can be vulnerable, but, like, is it complete honesty, or are there levels to vulnerability in your book?
I think it came down to on how much you trust in your couple, right?
Your relationship.
You told me about this guy that you were drinking in Four Seasons, for example, right?
Yeah, I told you.
You could have had that.
Yeah, but for me, I mean, my answer to that would be 100%, like, it's all or nothing. That would be my answer. Like, you cannot have an honest relationship and pick and choose where you're honest and you're vulnerable. For me, it's like either you are or you're not.
Right.
And I was just putting it out there to see if you as a man think differently about that.
I think that is different for each person. I absolutely think that. I have heard men that from both points.
Okay, we're getting a little bit off topic, but okay, so creating a safe space is what we're talking about. And what would you say when we think about men being talkative, men expressing themselves, men being honest and really engaging in the conversation, in the relationship, in a way that allows you to have a healthy relationship? What does creating a safe environment look like?
Looks like we're having a discussion, and you're not gonna be angry with me, right? There's an important topic, and you're not gonna take it and you're gonna go crazy, in the way that we're talking, right? Even because you are not hearing something that you like is not a reason for having an argument, right?
Yeah.
I think, at least for me, it's one that is very important, because it means that I can bring any other topic here at the table, and we can actually have a productive discussion, and it's not something that's gonna cause emotion so much.
Yeah. So it's not being angry, not being judgmental.
I think so. Yeah.
Not being judgmental.
You build from that.
I think that when we talk about not being judgmental, not being angry, it leads me to a saying that I love and I think about all the time. And funny story, it came from an episode of The Apprentice, Donald Trump's Apprentice. But one of the candidates on there said, when you're in a situation, when you're dealing with people, the whole object of the game is to first seek to understand and then be understood. So the priority is first seek to understand and then to be understood. That means when you're going to any situation, what you have to say is secondary. Because in order to have a reaction, in order to reply with something of substance, you need to first be more invested in understanding than being understood. And I feel like in communication in general, forget the relationship, I think in communication in general amongst people, more people are interested in being understood. Do you see me? Do you hear me? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? That's more important than actually receiving what the other person is saying, understanding them, and being on the same page with, what's important to them, what they want. And I think that when we're talking about creating a safe environment, it's like, are you really listening to understand? Are you really trying to hear between the lines? So, communication is not just the words that someone's saying. It's like, are you trying to understand the situation? Are you trying to understand what they're saying? Are you trying to read the subtext of what's coming out as well?
Yeah. Or other way to think about that is, are you trying to respond?
Are you just waiting so that you can talk? Yeah. Or are you actually engaged and actively listening?
Exactly. Which we can say, but it's really
difficult. It's difficult. And I think the other point to bring up too is that a lot of people will say, well, that just makes me angry, like that how can you expect me not to react? People will say that.
You can take 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, one day, I don't know, whatever you need.
But I think more importantly, you have to be aware that you control your emotions, not the other way around. And when you are aware of the responsibility to make that choice, then you approach the situation from a whole different perspective. So for example, you could say, I was talking about the topics that I'm going to cover in these podcasts coming up. And definitely we're going to have a conversation about infidelity. There are certain women who will stay with the man, or men who will stay with the woman. And you say, well, how can you do that? And I think that part of that conversation is, okay, well, no relationship gets to that point because it was a super healthy relationship. So if you're coming from the perspective of the person who's been cheated on, you could say, oh, how could you do that? That's horrible, and all these kind of things. And that is true. I mean, that's true. And there's no excuse. But at the same time, you can say, okay, clearly things are not right. Clearly we need to have some deep thoughts about what is going on in our relationship to create the space for this to happen. And we really want to work together to see how we can repair this, because I value you, I value our relationship, and clearly there's something not going right, so we can work on getting back together. And I think, Beyonce and Jay-Z is a very public demonstration of that, right? And it's just like, people are like, well, how could she accept that? How could she go back to that?
And she's she.
Yeah, and she is Beyonce. And so I think it's like, with something so dramatic and something so important and something so hurtful, it's like, you could say, well, I don't know how she could possibly be even open to that, and and I can't believe whatever. But it's like, you are not ruled by your emotions. You are, your thoughts are things you control, your emotions are things that you control. You have a responsibility to do so. Or you can just be on the receiving end and let your thoughts and your emotions boss you around. And I think that realizing that and taking ownership of that is something that is, best learned through reading, through therapy, through meditation, through having, good friends and environment.
Yeah, meditation. One of the two.
I said that.
Oh, okay. You see? I don't hear anymore.
You're done. We've been talking for way too long. All right. Okay. So those are the three. Those are the three rules. Number one. What was the number one rule? Number one: men don't talk much. So don't be surprised if your man doesn't say something. Give him space. Give him time. Number two: we have feelings. Men have feelings. Yes. Don't just assume because they've been oppressed by society that they don't have feelings. You have to respect him as a human being and feed into his humanity, and then you're going to see a different result. And number three, create a safe space. It makes all the difference. Yeah, if you want to have a better relationship, you want to have better communication, you want to develop your relationship, you're going to have to create a space where your partner feels vulnerable or comfortable enough to be vulnerable and to be open with you. Otherwise, there's no chance. So thank you so much Diego, for
You're
talking.
welcome.
Yes, thank you, Diego, for being so vulnerable, for being so candid, for letting us into the mind of a man. You know, the thing is, I even learned a lot about him and his thoughts in that interview, that talk, actually. And it was really eye-opening, some of the whys. And I think that when we have those conversations with our partner and open up the conversation, we're going to learn something new every single time, no matter how much we have the conversation. So I encourage you to take that, maybe listen to it with your partner and see what they respond to, see what they identify with, what they agree with, what they don't. Because I think, communication is something that's difficult for all people, not just men, not just between men and women, but I think for all people, communication is difficult. But in our relationships, the thing that should be our rock, our foundation, the thing that we turn to keep us going in life and ground us when we come home, it should be something that we really invest in and benefit from because of all of the work. So I hope that you enjoyed that talk between Diego and I. And with that, leave your feedback in the conversation. I'm really interested to see if you got anything from that, if there was something of value, something that you liked, something that you didn't agree with. I'm curious to see what your husband's partners say about the conversation, to see what they might have to add. All right, getting into some announcements. Like I said, we've got a couple things coming up. Kriti Nanda has a workshop with Women's Hub coming up on the 8th of June. I posted about that on our Instagram page, so go ahead and look at that. When you have a chance, sign up and benefit from a conversation about dealing with life and some of the challenges of life and really feeding into your own personal happiness. There are more details about that on our Instagram page and on Women's Hub. Additionally, we have our workshop coming up, the third part of the life coaching series, which is going to be an in-person meeting at Kitchen Republic by Anna. If you haven't already been to our website, go to our website, because I have published an article that she wrote as part 2 of the series. And then soon I will be publishing part 1 for whoever did not make it to the meetup that we had in April for the life coaching 3-part series. But sign up for the in-person session, and that's going to be on the 14th of June again, and it's going to be at Kitchen Republic, and you'll find all of that on the homepage of the website. Next, after that, we have our Day Spa Day, which is going to be on the 11th at Hurlimann, also on the front page of the website. And then trailing behind that will be on the 17th of June. We're going to meet up with Sean Fielding Williams. There was a discussion about divorce and her horrific experience in Switzerland. And that was such a great experience interviewing her. It was such a great thing to hear her story and also hear Tammy's story, because so many of us deal with really difficult situations. And the biggest thing we can do is share our stories, talk about it, be open, because we're sharing so many experiences and feeling alone that it just doesn't make sense. We need to be open about our experiences. We need to be honest about our experience, and that leads to a healing process that we can all use. So if you didn't see that on YouTube, I'm going to throw that up in the announcements as well. Go look at that. And then we're going to have cocktails with her as a follow-up at Fisher's Fritz, putting that on the website today. I hope that you are enjoying these podcasts and these topics. I'm going to be putting up a casting call to see who would like to offer their opinions and their voices for upcoming topics. We love to hear your voices. We love to get to know you by your voices. So if you have any feedback on this topic, go ahead and talk about it in a voice note in our group. I know that sometimes it takes a long time to type, so if you think that it's better for you to just throw up a voice note, we are interested in hearing from you. But in the meantime, in between time, I'm going to let you go ahead, because that was a long conversation. I'm going to let you go ahead and have a magical Monday. I know I am. It's my birthday. All right. And by the way, for my birthday, I would love it if you would share this podcast, because I think that it's a conversation that would benefit many, many, many people. But anyway, go ahead and have a great day.